folks keeping the barbarians from the gate.
I got into the labor movement not because I wanted to negotiate wages. I got into the labor movement because I saw it as a vehicle to do massive social change to improve the lots of people.
Let's take these son of a out and give America back to America where we belong. Thank you very much. Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, the Tea Party can go straight to hell.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
Hey, welcome back into the show, everybody. Final hour of Your Defending Fathers here on the Patriot Voice Radio Network. We appreciate you being part of the show today. Text line is open, 231-360-5140. If you want to get a comment into the show. Facebook chat is open live during the show every day, 9 to noon, Monday through Friday. Just go to facebook.com/Your Defending Fathers. Send us a message, and as long as it's on topic and pertinent to what we're talking about, we'll get it into the show that way as well. I'm Trucker Randy. We appreciate you being part of the show today. We're going to have a guest on in the next half hour. Former Republican National Committee man, former state representative Dave Agema is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about this issue that's out there that the media is basically attacking State Senator Patrick Colbeck over comments that he made at a forum talking about see something, say something. And the comments that he made regarding the raid that took place in 2004, 14 years ago in Texas, where the feds raided the offices of the Holy Land Foundation, confiscating their computers, their hard drives, their paper documents, and in those documents finding an explanatory memorandum that I posted on our Facebook page and our website yesterday. The document itself is in Arabic, but it was basically summarized and put on that website, that PDF file that I posted on our Facebook page and on our website, yourdefendingfathers.com. You can click on the link and see for yourself exactly what Patrick Colbeck was talking about, who's running to be governor. Connecting the dots with organizations based right here in Michigan. CARE, American Islamic Relations, and the family members of one of the opposing candidates, Muslim Abdul El-Sayed. Abdul El-Sayed also was the vice president of the Muslim Students Association at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Pat Colbeck has challenged anybody, as do I, to put forward any evidence of truth or fact that can prove what Patrick Colbeck said was inaccurate. We are asking for anybody, including Jonathan Olstein, who put together that hatchet job of an article on the Detroit News. We demand that you put up evidence countering what Patrick Colbeck's saying as being false. We can put up evidence to prove what he said was the truth. And what? You're upset because the truth is a little unsettling? You don't want to acknowledge the truth? You don't want to know the history? You do not want to know the mission statements of these groups? Well, guess what? Sometimes somebody has to be bold, stand up, and speak the truth. That's what we do on this show every single day. That's part of our mission statement. It's tattooed on my arm, and it is the truth. And if you can't handle the truth, then too bad, shame on you. You shouldn't run for political office if you can't stand the heat. Well, we're going to be joined by Dave Agema, former Republican National Committee man, state representative that's been to the Middle East and knows a lot about these groups. I'm Chuck and Randy. We're going to take a break, a word from our sponsors. I'll be right back. Hey, welcome back into the show, everybody. You're listening to Your Defending Fathers here on the Patriot Voice Radio Network. This attack on Patrick Colbeck by Jonathan Olstein, the media at large, especially in southeastern Michigan, Dave, it cannot go without us responding to it. I appreciate you being part of the show today. Tell the folks your experience going all the way back to when you were a state representative and your involvement in dealing with the Muslim Brotherhood and different folks of the Islamic Muslim faith. Explain to people a little bit about your knowledge, your background in dealing with the Middle East.
Well, it goes way back. I mean, I'm pretty good friends with General Boykin and Kamal Salim, which was a former Muslim Brotherhood terrorist himself, now became Christian, U.S. citizen. He's cooperated with the government, telling them what to expect. But basically what it revolves around, in 1991, the Muslim Brotherhood had a strategic plan called the Explanatory Memorandum of the Strategic Goal of North America. The goal of that was to destroy Western civilization from within via civilization jihad. And that was discovered in 2004 by the FBI. They did a raid on El Barasi's house. He was taking pictures of a bridge, and he was dressed as a woman in a burqa. And they discovered in his sub-basement 29 boxes, or several boxes, I should say, of information concerning agencies within the United States which are here to destroy America from within. Some of those listed were CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, ISNA, Islamic Society of North America, MSA, Muslim Student Association, MMA, Muslim Medical Association, and a host of others. So they want to change demographics. They want to change our legal system to Sharia law. They want to change government to establish a caliphate. They want to establish local governments to make sure that they're Sharia compliant. There's just a whole bunch of things what their goal is. And what it boils down to in the Quran and Muhammad's sayings, they are told they must hijra. They must immigrate to foreign countries and take them over from within. So there's two fronts. The one front comes in and bombs or crashes into the towers. The other front is more covert, and they come into your country via immigration and any way they can get worker permits and so forth. And back up a little bit, when I was a state rep, then I was invited to go to Turkey by the Turkish government. Before I left, both Boykin and Kamal Salim told me what they're going to ask for is more worker permits, more green cards. They just want to be friends. And in fact, they said what the real goal is to get inside of America from within like a Trojan horse and change this country. If you want an example of that, just look at Belgium, look at France, look at England, look what's coming when they had the immigration that's come in. So I go way back with this. I've been talking about this for a long time. No one wants to listen. And a lot of your politicians are afraid to speak of it, including Cali, including Schuette. Colbeck is the only one with the guts to speak truth. And when he said Al Said was vice president of MSA, that's true. MSA is part of the unindicted co-conspirators in the Holy Land Foundation trials that was supporting terrorists. His father-in-law is a high-ranking official in CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, both unindicted co-conspirators in the Holy Land Foundation trial. Everything he said is exactly true. So he's right on. He's the only one speaking truth, and of course, they're going to hammer him for doing so.
Now, Dave, on those points you just mentioned, and one of the things I want to be totally clear on, when Patrick Colbeck was attending that forum, say something, Khalid Salam was there, as well as Philip Heaney was part of the entire federal investigation of the Holy Land Foundation back in 2004. They knew all about that explanatory memorandum and what it called for. Speak about that memorandum in detail so people can truly understand what Colbeck was talking about when he referred to it.
Well, let me get some of my notes out here.
I mean, not in great detail, but I mean, its main bullet points is how they want to basically destroy America and take it over.
Okay, here you go. I'll give you 14 things. Some of them I already mentioned. But remember, it was established in 1991, and the Muslim Brotherhood established the Muslim Student Association, and they're the mother, if you will, of all CARE, ISNA, and all those organizations who want to take over America and the world for Islam. Remember one thing, folks. They will say Islam is a religion of peace. But that they're really saying, and that's called taqiyya, because they are encouraged to lie by Muhammad in the Quran and the Sunnah. They're encouraged to lie to further the cause of Islam. So what they're really saying is there's only going to be peace in their minds when the whole world is Muslim. Until then, there will be war. So on the memorandum, what were some of the goals of the Muslim Brotherhood using agencies like CARE, ISNA, MSA, and so forth? Change demographics, reproduce. They're reproducing at 7 to 8.1 kids per family in America. Impregnate women in your country. I mean, England's got huge problems with them impregnating their women. Immigration. They use immigration, and ISIS said they would use immigration, legal and illegal, into this country. Number 2, change the legal system to Sharia law. Sharia law is a dualistic society where men have all the rights, women have no rights, and if you're not a Muslim, you are a 3rd, 4th, 5th class citizens, contrary to our Constitution. Sharia law and the Constitution are not compatible. Number 3, change government and establishment of a caliphate. Think one world government with one person leading it. Their 12th imam is who they're looking for, equivalent to our Jesus Christ, if you will, in the Christian faith. Number 4, do not assimilate or cooperate with the culture. They didn't come here to assimilate. They came here to take over. Muslim Brotherhood is a strategy. Number 5, ensuring we do not study their doctrine of Sharia. That's why they're going after Colbeck so bad. When he speaks truth about this, they want to shut him up. They want to embarrass him. They want to destroy his character. So all these other congressmen or people that are running for governor will run away with their tail between their legs thinking, oh, I don't want this negative press on me. Colbeck speaking truth. Number 6, co-opting key leadership positions. And I've been speaking about this all over Michigan. Think Al-Said. It's exactly. He's been groomed for this position, getting money from Soros, getting money from Obama. And he's a Muslim, and he wants to make Michigan a sanctuary state. Good grief, folks. Wake up. Number 7, gradually take over religious and political systems. Gradually at first, becoming more and more aggressive as numbers increase. When they get to be about 25% in your culture, they're no longer friendly. Your friends that you think are Muslim are going to be very aggressive, and they're going to change. A moderate Muslim who is moderate and doesn't go along with the Muslim faith, if you will, is considered a heretic, and they have to be killed. So they shut up out of fear. But once they get that large percentage, they're going to come out of the woodwork and cause much trouble. Number 8, forcing Sharia compliance at the local levels. When they're allowed to pray 5 times a day and stop work, that's Sharia compliant. When they're in your schools teaching what Islam is, that's Sharia compliant. By the way, they don't have to pray 5 times a day at that time. They can make it up. So they're forcing you to do what they really don't have to do, and that's just capitulating to Sharia. Number 9, subverting religious organizations, coexist, interfaith organizations, and so forth. That's the things they push. Then they claim, number 10, claim victimization. Oh, Colbeck is an Islamophobe. No, he's not. He's just speaking the truth. Christian and Jews are the real victims here, and not the Muslims. Number 11, subverting the U.S. education system via Middle Eastern study programs. I can't tell you how effective that's been. Even in the school I went to at Calvin College, one of the professors spent a lot of time over in the Middle East, and he's part of the problem. Number 12, condemning slander against Islam. Think of Solomon Rushdie, the satanic verses, what they did to him. And what they did to me, they put me on a list. I think I'm number 15 or 16 on CARE's quasi-hit list. That's what they do. They try to make people afraid so they won't speak up. Number 13, confronting and denouncing Western society, its laws and its traditions, because they want Sharia law. So America is evil, the UN is evil, and by the way, Sharia supersedes in their mind all other laws, including our Constitution. So they do not recognize any laws other than the Sharia law. Number 14, demanding the right to practice Sharia in segregated Muslim enclaves. Think of what's going on in Hamtramck, in Dearborn. Think England, Germany, and so forth. Number 15, demanding that Sharia replace Western law. Basically, in short, it focuses on the settlement of North America by Islam. That's what it's all about. Overtaking our culture, our laws via Islamic centers where radicalism is fostered, with a goal of world domination. So the Ummah, which is considered the world, is established, i.e., we all become a Muslim nation under Sharia law. That's it in a nutshell. That's what they discovered in those things, and they've been pursuing that now for 25, 30 years.
Right.
So it's nothing new. But the problem is, now that it's there, they'll take a real smooth talker like El Said, and he'll come across as a really nice guy. He's this and that, but he's very, very deceptive. The only one speaking truth on this issue is Colbeck. Schuette's got his tail between his legs. Kelly's got his tail between his legs. They don't want to touch it because the same thing is said about me because I was too controversial. Since when is truth controversial?
Exactly.
They ought to be speaking out about this. They ought to be protecting us from this junk. They are not abiding by their oath of office to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We now have domestic enemies.
Well, it all started under Barack Hussein Obama as the president back when he took office at the federal level. They thought they were going to actually get to implement this and get it done with him being president for basically 2 terms, Dave, for 8 years at the federal level. Thank God we at least had some folks in Congress and the U.S. Senate, maybe blindly without them even knowing it, but they stopped a lot of his agenda, a lot of the things he did. Thank God we got President Trump in, who's undoing a lot of these things. But take a look at, for example, exactly what's going on with ISIS right now, how Trump is going after them, going to basically try to knock them off the face of the earth. But here we have in Michigan, at the local state level, somebody who's completely backed by Soros, completely backed by Obama, trying to implement this at the state level, becoming the first quote-unquote Muslim governor in America. It's happening, folks, right here in the state of Michigan.
Absolutely. It's extremely dangerous, and it happens because of the ignorance of the electorate. They don't understand. See, what Muslims fear the most, if you study their Quran and their Sunnah, and you realize how crazy it is. It literally is crazy. I mean, when you look at the things that he says in this, drink camel urine, you can have up to 4 wives, however, he had 7 or 8. Muhammad was a pedophile, he was a murderer, he was a rapist. He started out kind of sounding like a prophet when he was in Mecca, but when he fled to Medina, because no one would really believe him in Medina, then he became a warlord and a politician. He basically surrounded himself with thugs, and he said, join me, you can take whatever you will from the infidel, their wives, their kids, you can make them sex slaves, you can take their possessions. That's how he became strong. And by the way, he was invited into Medina by 4 or 5 Jewish communities, and within 5 years he eradicated them all. Islam is the biggest killing machine there ever has been that's called a religion, even though it's only about 14 to 16% religion. The rest of it is how you live, what you have to do, and so forth. But they've killed hundreds of millions of people, and one of the largest groups they've killed is Africans. It's like 120 million Africans they've killed. So, I mean, it's evil. I mean, even some of our forefathers, and by the way, I got to get into this. We have been at war with Islam since we were formed as a nation in 1776. Adams and Jefferson met the Imam in England because as soon as we declared our independence in Tripoli, they were taking our ships and our men for slaves and for booty, and we had to pay tribute. And they met the guy in England, and they said, why are you doing this? And he said, because the Holy Quran says we have the right to take what we will from the infidel. What's an infidel? Anybody who's not a Muslim. So Jefferson and Adams came back. Adams wimped out. Jefferson said, we need a Navy, we need a Marine Corps. He got his way because he printed 200 Qurans that says this is the barbaric religion we're dealing with. We have to stop it. He got his way.
Yep.
So from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, that's why the Marines, the leathernecks, they're called leathernecks. They put leather around their necks because they knew the Muslims wanted to chop their heads off.
Yep.
I mean, it just goes back from 1776 to World War II, and they supported Hitler because of killing Jews.
We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break. Keep that thought. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the final half hour of today's show here of Your Defending Fathers. I'm Trucker Randy, joined by fellow Defending Father Dave Agema. Dave, I want to shift gears a little bit, but I want to start off first with just a statement that you need to know your history, folks, because if you don't know the history, you don't know what Patrick Colbeck is talking about. You don't know what Dave Agema is talking about. You need to Google Knight Templar. You need to know the history. Learn about what happened in France, what happened in Italy, what was necessary back in the day for the Knight Templars to do what they had to do. Dave just mentioned the founding of our country. The second president had to basically create the Marine Corps, Marine, water. They had to put together some type of naval response to this evil that was taking place throughout our history. And Dave, I want to fast forward and I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about Governor Rick Snyder, who's endorsed Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley to be the next governor of the state of Michigan. Where did Governor Rick Snyder go? Where did he give a welcoming speech to folks there in Detroit when they held their conference? What group, what organization did Governor Rick Snyder go and placate to?
Well, that's very simple. When I was a state rep, he stood on the Capitol steps and he talked about the goodness of care, Council on American Islamic Relations, and I couldn't believe my ears. I thought he was either ignorant. Later, I think it's because he was going to take money from those organizations for his reelection. I think that's the real goal. Then he went with Jimmy Carter to an ISLAND, an Islamic Society in North America. Now, again, if you know these organizations have been labeled unindicted co-conspirators in the Holy Land Foundation trials of supporting terrorism, you should have no part with them whatsoever. And in my opinion, he is not abiding by his oath of office to defend the Constitution against all enemies, and foreign and domestic. Very disgusting. I realized right then and there I'm either dealing with an ignorant leadership or I'm dealing with leadership that will sell their soul to get reelected, and I think the latter was true.
And one of the things that was the most disgusting part to me was it wasn't even necessary, with Jimmy Carter already being there at their event, I believe held at Cobo Hall, Detroit. There was no reason for Rick Snyder to reach out to them and participate, but yet he felt the need to do it. And here's the other component to it, which is the scariest thing that I'm connecting the dots on. Rick Snyder has come out and fully embraced and endorsed Brian Calley to be the next governor, and then I see Calley's response, or no comments, if you will, about Patrick Colbeck getting up and speaking the truth. Calley is just going to continue this same relationship with CARE, the Muslim Brotherhood, in my opinion, and these evil people that want to do us harm. Calley, as far as I'm concerned, is just as guilty as Rick Snyder.
Well, follow the money. See who's receiving money from organizations or sub-organizations of those groups. And there's a lot of money there. There's lots of money over there. And they can get money from the Middle East, even like my friend Kamal Salim. He said when he was in the United States, he could make a phone call and they could send him $500,000. I mean, there's money to be had there. And they said money is the mother's milk of politics. I'm not saying that he's taking it. I'm just saying it sways people or it shuts people up. And my point is, I'm not shutting up on this issue. I know too much about it. My friend Kamal Salim and General Boykin have been speaking about it for years. They all have death threats on them, especially Kamal Salim. And I'm telling you, people just got to wake up. If we would elect, I'm surprised the Democrat Party even allows this guy to run on the Democrat ticket. That tells you how sick the Democrat Party really is. I'm just flabbergasted at it. And he'll defend this guy. He's indefensible. But I will say one thing. He's been groomed. He's smooth. He speaks the talk, but he didn't walk the walk. If he gets to be our next governor, boy, we're going to have big trouble in the state of Michigan.
Well, here's the other point that is absolutely just making me mad as heck, is that the Republican Party, Sarah Anderson is the communication director for the Michigan Republican Party. Ron Weiser is the chairman of it, based there out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, donated $50 million to U of M. When they were even simply approached by Jonathan Olstein with his hatchet job of statements that, hey, did you hear Patrick Colbeck said this and Patrick Colbeck said that, immediately, without any hesitation whatsoever, to find out more, without even talking to Senator Colbeck about it and what he said, she immediately attacks him and throws him under the bus.
She did the same thing to me, Trucker, when it came to the LGBT groups and when I talked about radicalism. She needs to go. She's part of the establishment. Quite frankly, I think Ron Weiser needs to go. Ron says he supports our platform, which believes, for example, that we believe marriage is between a man and a woman. Yet, in his past, I don't know if he still owns them, he owned large LGBT communities in Florida and even wrote a check for a gay parade. Now, give me a break, folks. We need different people. People wise up, listen up. It's not just about money. It's about principles as well. We have people like that and leading this charge just because they can raise money and throwing people under the bus because they're afraid of controversial but true issues which need to be dealt with, then we have a problem within the GOP. And I think there's a lot of people out there, the grassroots are sick of it. It's being funded primarily by an oligarchy of very wealthy people. And the problem is a lot of the people running their districts or running their counties need the money, so they capitulate to get the money. But, folks, it needs to stop. I contend if we stand on our principles and our platform is excellent and abide by it and defend it, we'll get all the votes we need because they'll see how ridiculous the Democrat Party is. We don't need to just subjugate ourselves to the biggest donor.
Well, the other point to that exact structure you're talking about is it all starts at the top, which is the governor of the state of Michigan. It all starts with the leader of the Republican Party. And if you look at Rick Snyder and his lieutenant governor, Brian Calley, and how they've absolutely caved in to CARE and these other groups just to get their money, I'm sorry, Dave, but that is a sad state of affairs when the leader of the Republican Party, the governor, is responding and acting this way. We need a strong governor candidate, and I believe that person is Senator Patrick Colbeck.
I 100% agree, and I support Patrick Colbeck. We talked about this 2 years ago. We need a change. We just simply need a change in the leadership. And he understands this issue. He understands the LGBT issue. He understands Islam. He understands the budget. And he wants to get rid of the state income tax without raising taxes. I tell you what, you do that in the state of Michigan, you watch what happens. People come into the state big time just to get away from state income taxes.
Yep.
I think he's the best candidate available, and I think he's the smartest guy there. But, again, he's a Christian, he's conservative, and news media doesn't like that, especially Osteen. He used to do the same stuff to me. He needs to go as well, but that's a private job, you know. So
yep. Well, when the progressive agenda controls the media, like you say with Jonathan Olstein, Chad Livingood now down at Crane's Business Detroit. You've got all these other media folks, Tim Skubick. I mean, the list is long. They basically, I guarantee you, I'm going to be watching Off the Record this week, probably already recorded it. I can guarantee you that they're going to be attacking Colbeck for the statements that he made at that forum. It's going to be part of their show, part of their messaging. The only type of publicity he can get is negative publicity, and it's really a sad state of affairs, Dave, that's what we have sunk to in order to get a good, strong person, a leader, an intelligent leader, like you say, with plans to fix the state. The only type of coverage he's ever going to get is when he's negatively attacked.
Yeah, but I'm just hoping people can see through it. And I hope people realize that, you know, I always said the people that are in Lansing, whether they're, you know, senator or legislator with the biggest amount of money in their committee to elect or the leadership funds, they're the ones that have sold their soul for the money. the ones with the least amount of money in their committee to elect are usually the ones that couldn't be bought by the lobbyists and the big donors. And that's why Colbeck needs support, folks. You need to send him a few dollars. It does take money to win. You're going to see Schuette putting all kinds of TV ads out. He's going to send you stuff in the mail, and you're going to think he's the best guy that ever was there. But if you look at his record, how he didn't stand up against the LGBT, how he was against Reagan when he started, and his voting record wasn't all that sterling when he was a congressman, that stuff is the stuff you need to know, but you won't know it. You'll just see what he puts out. But that's what takes money to do. And Colbeck doesn't have as much money as these people do because he hasn't sold a soul like the other guys have sold for that buck. So send him a check, folks. I just did yesterday.
Yep. Colbeck, COLBECK 4 FOR governor.com is the website. You can click on there and donate. Their campaign's address is there. Mail them a check, whatever you can do. But here's the point. Schuette's taking money from these groups. Callie's taking money from these groups. I've looked at their campaign finance reports. I've seen the money they've taken from the trial lawyers. I've seen the money they've taken from the hospital associations. I've seen the money they've taken from the doctors associations. We're never going to get cheaper car insurance. We're never going to get lower electric rates. We're never going to get any of these things we need. We're not going to eliminate the state income tax with these two guys. Colbeck is going for every single one of those issues, and I think, honestly, that's why they're attacking him so hard. Dave, I'll give you 30 seconds. We'll wrap it up.
There's no question. I used to always say, I'm a former fighter pilot, and I used to always use the saying, you can tell where you're over the target when you're taking flak. He's taking flak because he's right over the target. The other guys don't like it because they don't have the guts to stand for the right stuff, and they're going to lose some of their support if they would stand up for the right things. So, folks, listen up. Just search how these guys have voted in the past. For Pete's sakes, I mean, Callie supported he helped write the Michigan business tax and surcharge. He voted for the Medicaid expansion, all these things. Yep. The gas tax increase he supported. Yep. Folks, I chaired that department, and I got your money for your roads every year without raising your taxes. It can be done.
Amen. Dave, we appreciate you being on the show today, and I'm going to turn this into a YouTube video. We're going to blast it all over social media this weekend. Dave Agema, thanks for being on the show, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
I'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back into the show today. Final segment of Your Defending Fathers. I'm Trucker Randy. We appreciate you being part of the show today. Got so many comments on Facebook and text messages that I can't even get to all of them, so I totally apologize, guys. Bottom line is exactly why I'm supporting Patrick Colbeck. Thank you for Dave Agema speaking the truth. Another one says, I'm supporting Colbeck. The more the media attacks him, the more I'm going to send him more money. Folks, the bottom line is here, like Dave Agema said, we can't believe that the Democrat Party of the state of Michigan is even going to allow this guy to run on their ticket. But not only are they embracing him, they're defending him. When he doesn't even need to be defended, Colbeck did not attack him personally. That's the bald-faced lie that Jonathan Olstein put in that article. Colbeck did not attack Abdul El-Sayed saying that he supported or believes in the Muslim Brotherhood. He simply pointed out that the Muslim Student Association at the University of Ann Arbor, of which he was vice president, is one of the oldest organizations that do support the Muslim Brotherhood. Did Abdul El-Sayed, the Muslim, not know that? Did he not know that that organization supports the Muslim Brotherhood? Folks, these people have been deemed a terrorist organization. Most of the hijackers that attacked the country on September 11th, 2001 were members of the Muslim Brotherhood or believed what they believed. If you don't want to know the truth because you can't handle the truth, then you should not be part of the process. And if you're going to run for political office, I'm sorry, but your belief system and the organizations that you are part of and your family members are part of, his father-in-law sits on the board of CARE, Council for American Islamic Relations. Look it up, folks. These are facts. This is exactly what Patrick Colbeck was stating was the facts. And I call on Jonathan Olstein, Sarah Anderson, the communication director for the Michigan Republican Party, Ron Weiser, the chairman of the party, and any other journalists, quote unquote, out there, provide the evidence, provide the documentation as to what Patrick Colbeck said was a lie. What he said was not true. Prove that what he said was being bigoted and being a racist against Abdul El-Sayed. Provide the documentation. I demand it. Because if you can't provide the evidence, if you can't provide the truth, then you're lying. You're the liar. You're the one defending their actions of this terrorist organization, and you're not willing to allow the voters of the state of Michigan to know the truth. Well, people like Patrick Colbeck, Dave Agema, and myself, and Theron and others, Janice Daniels, the list is long, we are going to get the truth out to the people. We will not shut up. We will not sit down. We are going to make sure that the voters know the truth. And I'm going to turn this hour into a YouTube video. I'm going to edit it down to the conversation, and we're going to blast it out there on Sunday night. I'd like to do it today, but I'm getting ready to go downstate to see President Trump in Washington Township tomorrow on Saturday. I'll be at the event wearing my Colbeck for Governor shirt. This is ridiculous what's going on. And these wimps, Attorney General Bill Schuette, Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley, Dr. Jim Hines, basically not having any comments is shameful. And I'm going to ask them a very simple question right here on this show. Do you disavow the Muslim Brotherhood, yes or no? I think Abdul El-Sayed needs to ask that question. Do you disavow the Muslim Brotherhood? Because if he was forced to come out publicly and answer that question, yes or no, and he said, yes, I disavow the Muslim Brotherhood, I think a lot of his campaign donations would stop. Look at his campaign finance report, people. OpenSecrets.org. Pages after pages after pages, $6,800 maximum contribution from people outside the state of Michigan with names you can't even pronounce. That's the truth. George Soros, Barack Hussein Obama, and all these others backing his campaign. He's been called Barack Obama 2.0. I say he's on steroids. That's it for today's show, everybody. I'll blast that out there on social media on Sunday night. God bless. We'll talk to you on Monday.
This is Cassie. Thank you for listening to Your Defending Fathers.
Hey everybody, it's Trucker Randy. Tune into our show, Your Defending Fathers, right here weekdays 11 a.m. to noon on Wham Radio. Together we discuss Michigan news and Michigan politics. We make sure that you're fully engaged, informed, and educated on the issues and policies going on around our state. Lansing hates us, but the people love us. Together we expose the bad bills and shine the light of truth on the politicians. So join me right here on Wham 1600 a.m., 11 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday.